Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the Thunderbolt, or rather correctly it's the M4A3E8 Thunderbolt VII. Yep, there were a 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and 6 Thunderbolt. This was the 7th version he had. He wrecked all the other ones. In fact, what I'm talking about is Lieutenant Colonel Crichton Abrahams, who is the commander of this tank. Now it's armed with a 76mm gun, which is capable of 115 alpha rather, with 128mm of penetration with standard rounds, and with the APCR it goes up to 177. It's basically an easy 8 that's been up armoured with applique armour bolted on and welded onto the side of the vehicle, which actually makes it tougher to take down. Now you can see that applique armour even appears on the turret as well as on the sides, and of course the Germans knew to aim for the sides of Shermans, because normally the ammo rack was behind that side, and if they could get a pen in the right place then they could make the tank explode or at least burst into flames. The enemy's in sight, but he hasn't got a shot just yet. So what they did is they took a whole load of slabs of armour, welded it or bolted it onto the front, the sides, the turret, and they made this a really slow tank. It's incredibly slow, painfully slow, especially going up slopes. As you just saw, it took him ages to get up onto the top of that dune. The good thing is though, it makes it very difficult for the enemy to penetrate. In fact, there's only a few weak spots looking directly at the front. You either have to go for the cupola or the machine gun port, or we'll try and get behind the thing or hit it on the sides of the rear. Again, it's that 76mm high velocity gun, is very capable of taking out enemy tanks. It could actually take out Tigers. Okay, DSPZ. He hits him in the tracks. That one, he went below it and hit the ground underneath him, but that one went right through the front. And that one hit the tracks again. He's got a shot on that T-34. Oh, misses the chance to get that kill. Now he's sitting up here quite open at the moment. In fact, he fired a round at the Valiant that's up there, but he can't see it because it's outside view range. And he's not really concerned about the enemy. That is a KV-2 as a S-35, a bathtub goes in front of him. You can see the view range at the moment. He can't really see much of the enemy, so he's going to have to move if he wants to get closer. And as I said, it's a fairly slow tank, and of course on this, of course, it's going downhill, in which case it picks up speed quite quickly because all that extra armor really does speed it up. No, that T1 Heavy is actually behind the mosque. I can hit that Wolverine though, and he's gone. Yeah, the mosque is indestructible, so there's no point in trying to shoot behind it. But the mosque is a very good place to shoot from if you want to get shots to the east. I think he's doing just that actually. He's using the mosque and of course this dune here. T1 Heavy's gone behind that rock there, over in the other end. He's not going to get shots on him until he comes out from behind. In fact, I don't think he's going to get any shots at all, so he might as well just move. Oh! Now, unfortunately, we just lost an OI. He's now shooting at the KV-2 a long way away, and the guy is actually shooting at our Valiant, I think. So he's trying to use the long-range capability of that 76mm gun. Still got decent penetration at long range, and he's using the standard ammo at the moment. Oh, we just lost the Valiant. That's a Stug 3G took him out. So he's going to use the mosque, which is, as I said, good cover. In fact, all these buildings here are actually fairly good cover, but he's having to knock them down just to get to the mosque. You see that bathtub's taken up position. Behind that rock is a very good spot for shooting at the enemy. I'd go for the guys overlooking the cap area because they can shoot at long range too, but Might as well take the opportunity to kill this KV2. I don't think he could see us, actually. T1 Heavy, will he come out from behind the rock? If he does, he's silly. Gives us his rear, and he's gone. In fact, it was the bathtub who got the kill. And the reason that he's turned around, MacGyver, is, and I forgot to mention it was MacGyver 1970 right at the start of the game. He's turned around because he's watching his minimap and he suddenly realised the enemy is at our cap area. They've managed to circle around the north whilst we were going directly towards their cap area along the riverbed. They went the long route and they finally arrived at our cap, and a pair of tank destroyers, a Jagdpanzer IV and a Wolverine, are trying to hold back a Rudy, a Valiant and a KV-85. There's also a 40 TP and he's just spotted that guy. He needs to get behind the rock. Let the bathtub put around into him. He's just auto-aimed on. Gets the kill. Now you notice the 40 TP did get around into us, and it wasn't the 90mm gun, because he only got 149 hit points, so he probably had the stock gun and that's why he didn't suffer. But here comes somebody who can do some damage, and that's a KV-85. Yeah, 247. That was unfortunate. KV-85 did manage to get around into us, a decent one into the rear as well. And the enemy is now capping, so now go to work on them. He puts one into the Valiant. He's loading premium. Saying peekaboo. No, that one didn't go. Enemy Valiant getting closer. There he is. Locks on. The Valiant goes down to the bathtub. He's doing nice work with this Valiant, but he does take a round from the M4, which is surprising. And I think that was an HE round, actually. That's why. So he's got the 105mm derp gun. Now he has to respect that, because that thing does not take into account armour, but he puts one through accurately to take out the M4, and then he takes out the Rudy, and that means there's only 3 enemies left and they're all down the other end. I'm afraid all the guys who attacked the enemy cap earlier have all died, and we know that that Stug driver is actually quite good because he's got 3 kills. They've also got a Jackson. He might have the 90mm gun, we don't know, but presume he probably does. And the other enemy is an M4A3E8. So he's just the same as the Thunderbolt, but he doesn't have the armour. That means he's a little bit faster, but he's a little easier to kill. Now, as I said, Lieutenant Colonel Abrahams actually went through 7 Thunderbolts during his time in France, and that's one of the great things about the M4 was that they had so many of them. They built so many, it was very easy to replace a vehicle if it went down in action. If they got slightly damaged or if they were unserviceable, they just picked up a new tank and went into action with that. Most of the times, though, they repaired the M4s because they were fairly easy to replace, because the parts were, well, very universal and there was lots of them. So if it needed a spare part, no problem. But the Germans, they had major problems with their parts. They just couldn't get enough of them to replace all the parts that were wearing out, as well as the ones that were busted in action. He's decided to go down into the riverbed to try and deal with that Easy 8. No point trying to crest the ridge line the way, if he'd gone directly towards it, he would have presented a very nice target for the enemy to hit. And there's the enemy Jackson. He's actually managed to make it back to our cap. The Stug's gone. Our Budgie managed to get him. Here's the Easy 8, locks on, fires one in. He's going to need a couple more rounds, and he needs to move fast, because if the Jackson gets shots on him from his rear, those shots are 90mm rounds are going to go straight through his engine. So the best thing to do will be to get around the other side so that the Jackson cannot attack him. That's it, he's forcing the engagement on his ground. The enemy is capping, that's the Jackson. Needs to get onto the ramp. Good. think your way through this, make the enemy come to you, but deal with the Easy 8 and then go for the Jackson. Unfortunately, he's all alone now because I'm afraid the Budgie got killed and his teammate in the bathtub got killed, so it's just MacGyver now in his Thunderbolt. And I think he's decided that he needs to get to the cap, otherwise this game's going to be a loss. Now the good thing is that Jackson won't be able to see him as he's approaching, and the Jackson, well, it's a very thin armoured vehicle, so he should be able to get a decent shot into the guy to get a reset. In fact, it might be better for him to fire the HE round rather than a armour piercing, but he's got no premium rounds left. He won't need premium rounds with the Jackson anyway, but he's got to get a move on because he's only got a few seconds left. So he's going to curve around the corner. There he is. Puts in, gets the reset. Now go for the kill. Even if that guy's got the 90mm, the frontal armour on this thing will more than be enough for the 90mm. Now, how's he going to handle this? He could let the Easy 8 come to the cap and ambush him once he's in the cap. Or he could go down into the riverbed and drive towards the enemy cap area, trying to hunt him down. There's only 3 minutes 32 seconds left. I have the sneaking suspicion that the enemy is not going to come to the cap because he's too wary of attacking a Thunderbolt. So I think MacGyver's going to have to go and hunt this Easy 8 down and just hope that the guy hasn't run off. There he is! Okay, so now he knows where the enemy is and he's been spotted. Couldn't get through the frontal armour. So as long as he keeps his front towards that Easy 8, the Easy 8's going to come off worse. He's angling nicely. Go for the kill. That's it. This is in the bag. Nice bit of RAM. And there's the kill shot that wins the game for MacGyver1970. Let's have a look at the end of battle stats. And here's the end of battle results for MacGyver1970 in the M4A3E8 Thunderbolt VII. He managed to get a first class tanker in that game, a hand of God for surviving the battle, having received damage from 4 different enemies, a bruiser for getting at least 5 critical hits, he got 11, a duelist for taking down 2 tanks that damaged him, and a fighter badge for getting at least 4 kills. He ended up with 5, 1/3 of the enemy team, and just 1 tank shy of getting a top gun. And he got a 5 for effect for doing more damage than the hit points of his own vehicle. He got a Confederate medal. He hit more tanks than anyone else in his team, at least 6 tanks subsequently taken out by other teammates. He got a defender for resetting the cap enough times to get at least 70 cap points or defense points. And finally, he got a high caliber for dealing the most damage in that game overall. So very well done indeed. We can see on the team score that he did get the highest damage, 2,681 hit points. The next high scorer being the KV2 on the enemy team with 1,947, followed by the Bathtub on his own team with 1,747. When it came to kills, he had the highest number with 5. 4 kills went to the Bathtub, 3 kills to the VK3001H on his own team, and 2 members of the enemy team. They're Jackson and there's Stug3G, both got 3 kills. When it came to base XP though, it was MacGyver. Yes, he got 1,393, which puts him top in all 3 columns. And he's the only player to get over 1,000 base as well. 757 went to the Bathtub, who put up a really good fight, but unfortunately he got taken down. And then we've got 589 to the 40 TP Habisha. If we look at the detail report, 41 shots fired of 76mm ammunition, the high velocity ammunition. 29 direct hits, 25 penetrations. Didn't always get it through the armour, but he did get some nice hits on the enemy. 2,681 hit points of damage overall, with 346 of that being more than 300 meters. 10 hits received, only 4 of which penetrated. A lot of the rounds hit the frontal armour, 5 of those, and 1 hit by way of splash. That was the M4A1, who was having difficulty trying to get through the armour and instead decided to use the HE round. I don't think he had the 105mm gun. I think he had the standard 75mm gun, because if it had been the 105, he would have done a lot more damage, even with the armour. 720 hit points of damage blocked by the armour, 11 enemy vehicles touched and damaged, 5 killed, and 275 hit points of damage assistance. He got 100 defense points by resetting the cap. In fact, actually, you remember, he reset it multiple times whilst the Valiant was in the cap, but the Jackson almost had a full 100 defense or capture points before he actually got reset. In fact, he got reset in the last few seconds. So yes, he easily got that defender, more than 100 cap points in the end. On a premium count, he earned 41,785 credits, cost 65,000 from personal missions payout, and after repair and ammunition resupply, took away 80,685 credits altogether. He picked up 1,393 XP times 4 on this occasion, 627 for this being a premium vehicle. Yes, it's one of those ones that you can buy, and so long as you know how to play it well and keep your armour at nice angles so that the enemy can't get penetration on you, yes, you can deal a lot of damage on similar tiered vehicles, but you might come a cropper if you come across an enemy tank that does have the ability to do nice pens on your rear. So don't let your enemy put shots into your ass, because if you do, you will suffer. 8,987 experience points altogether from that game. So a great game in the Thunderbolt for MacGyver. He played it just right, and in fact he was very lucky in the sense that Easy 8 driver was more aggressive than he wanted the win, and he came towards the cap whilst MacGyver was headed down the river valley, which, as I said, was the best way to go hunting the guy. If he'd been thinking carefully about it, what he should have done, the Easy 8 drivers, he should have done what MacGyver did and actually gone up north of the riverbank, north of the river, and gone through the dunes to get towards the cap area and just waited until MacGyver actually vacated the cap area and headed towards his end, and then jump into the cap, because it would have been difficult for MacGyver to get back in time to get a reset, and then he would have won the game. But by trying to take on a Thunderbolt face to face, he actually made a huge error, because you can't take on a Thunderbolt with all that extra armour unless you get behind the guy and shoot him in the ass. And, well, unfortunately, once he was shot by MacGyver, he wasn't going to go anywhere. And MacGyver gave him a nice ram as well to try and rub it in. And it was going to be an easy kill so long as MacGyver kept his ass away from that Easy 8. So good tactics by MacGyver, good playing, and an interesting battle, considering he had to take on 2 at the end all alone. If you enjoyed that replay, please give this video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a comment down below because it feeds the YouTube algorithm, and we will have some double headers coming up soon. Yes, I've got a few where we've got multiple battles from either the same player or from different players playing the same tank. Thanks for watching.